Okay, well this isn't going to take too long. All right, so we're going to just be fine. We're going to answer a couple questions about graphs. Two of them we have, two questions we have graphs on, and the first question we do not. All right, but this is in your notes. All right, so what are the x and y intercepts of log base 6 of x plus 8? All right, so x and y intercept. So let's, for instance, the y-intercept. Let's do the y-intercept first. Right, you plug in 0 for x. And I have to say, I should have chosen a nicer little value for our graph because it's not going to be very pretty. So you have this one in your notes. Let's just opt to change it to something that you could actually know how to evaluate. All right, and so let's change that. Instead of that plus 8, let's make that a plus 6, okay? Just make that a plus 6, all right? And then at least we can evaluate for the x-intercept. All right, so if we substitute 0 for x, we're going to have log base 6 of 0 plus 6. Well, that's just log base 6 of 6. Now remember, when you're evaluating a log function, you're asking yourselves, what do I have to raise 6 to get 6? Well, that just equals 1. Right, so we have a y-intercept, right, because, a reminder, actually 6 to the first is 6, right? So we have a y-intercept at 0, 1. And then how about an x-intercept, right? So then we have to set the whole thing equal to 0, right? So if we have, and then we have to solve, and that might be actually a little tricky for us right now. So what we're going to do, well, tricky for you guys, a little bit tricky for you guys right now. So what we're going to do is we'll find x and y intercepts actually on these other graphs. We're going to save the x-intercept part because we'd have to, yeah, you don't know how to get rid of the, well, you know what, let's try it. Let's try it. Let's see if I can make it easy enough, even though we haven't done solving equations, that you can do it anyway. All right, so that was the y-intercept. Now let's try the x-intercept. All right, so we have, so for x-intercept, substitute 0 for y. All right, so now we have 0 equals log base 6 of x plus 6. We're going to keep the 6 in there. All right. So now we're going to kind of do this logically. All right. So now 0 is an exponent. I'm running out of space here, so I'm just going to continue right over here. All right. So anything at all to the 0 power gives us what? 1, Miss Mashagna. All right, so that's going to mean that x plus 6 there has got to equal 1. So we're going to just kind of do this logically. All right, so that means that if I subtract 6 from both sides, x is going to equal -5. So that means our x-intercept is -5, 0. And let's check this out and see if it works. All right, so if I have log base 6 of -5 plus 6, that's going to be log base 6 of 1, right? And what do I have? Here's my 6. And what do I have to raise 6 to get 1? Well, I have to raise 6 to the 0 power, right, to get 1. All right, so that checks out. So here's our x-intercept and our y-intercept. And I was able to do that, just kind of explain it to you logically. And I think you got it. I hope you got it. All right, so all you're going to have to do basically And it's just, and actually you're going to do the same thing each time. So here's a little hint. Since anything to the 0 power is 1, if we want y to be 0 there, then whatever inside the log, right, the result there has got to equal 1, right? So just set the stuff in the parentheses, this part here, equal to 1 to find the y-intercept, the x-intercept. You can do that every time. All right? And every time you can plug in 0 for x and find the y-intercept. All right, so now let's take a look at this one. We have the graph of a logarithmic function is shown. We want to find our b, which is our base. All right, this one's not a translated one. That would be too tricky for you. How can you figure that out? Well, let's look at some points. All right? You don't have to solve it out algebraically, but I want you to use your reasoning. All right? So now this point here, 1, 0, that's not going to help you because any number raised to the 0 power is 1. That doesn't help at all. Let's see if we have any other values. Well, look at this right here. Right? So, and this one right here. Right? So we have the point 2, 1. And we have the point 4, 2. So what to the first power gives us 2? Or what to the second power gives us 4? Well, that would be, that box has got to be 2, right? Because 2 to the first power equals 2, and 2 squared equals 4. So that means that our function here is simply, and we'll write it as f of x. F of x is just log base 2 of x. That's all there is to it. So to evaluate these, find points, right? The x is the result, remember, and the y is the exponent. All right, last one. We want which graph is the best representation of f of x equals log base 1/2 to the x, or 0.5, or 1/2 to the x. All right, so we want the base to be 1/2. All right, so now let's rewrite that as an exponential. And so we'll put that in exponential form. All right, so we're going to have 0.5 to the y equals x. So I'm going to rewrite that as 1/2. 1/2 to the y equals x. All right, so now what if I raise 1/2 to the -1 power? That's going to give us the reciprocal, 2. Do any of these graphs have the point? So one point on our graph is the point. So remember, this is the x. Excuse me. Yeah, that's the x. Actually, I'm labeling the right thing. And this is the y, right? So that's the point 2, -1. Do any of these graphs have 2, -1 on here? All right, let's see. All right, so we have, how about that one? There's the point 2, -1. Right? And we can also see that here's the point. It looks like the point 1/2, 1. And 1/2 to the first power is 1. And 1/2 to the -1 power is 2. All right, let's see the other ones here. All right, this one here, that one's got the point 2, 1. You know what? That's the same graph as we have above there. This one here, that's just y equals log base 2 of x. All right? And, well, these ones here, those aren't log functions at all. Right? Do you see any vertical asymptote? No, I see a horizontal. This is an exponential. This is also an exponential. All right? This has horizontal asymptotes, not vertical asymptotes. That's what gave that one away. And the first one, let's see, here we have the point 1, 2. Right? So now x is the exponent. and y is the result. All right, so this is the graph of y equals 2 to the x. The next one is decay. Here we have the point negative 1, 2, right? So 1/2 to the negative 1 power, that's what would give us 2. This is the graph of y equals 1/2 to the x. All right, so those aren't even log functions. So only the first two, f and g, are log functions, and the correct one is f. And there you go. That's how you solve these. Right? So you'll be seeing some of these when you take the benchmark in like a week and a half. If you have any questions, let me know. And otherwise, thanks for watching, and bye for now. And now we're all done graphing. Now we'll learn how to solve. All right? Bye-bye.